The BatleXP G350 is a handheld retro gaming console for under 60 bucks. But is it any good? Let's find out. And by the way, I'm gonna drop a link in the description and the first comment, just in case by the end of this video you find yourself wanting one too. The problem with retro gaming is that retro consoles are getting super hard to find. They're getting super expensive, they take up a ton of space, and who has the time to actually sit down and play them? Sure, there are modern solutions like multi-consoles such as the Retro Duo, which can play NES and Super Nintendo games. However, you still have to go out and find those games. They still cost a lot of money and you still can't take them anywhere. Of course, emulation is a great solution if you have a computer that you can do that on, or for under a couple $100 you could get like a Raspberry Pi and set that up with a ton of games, but that still leaves you with the issue of portability. And maybe you could get a laptop, but let's be real, laptops are still kind of big, and charging one when you're out and about sucks. It's almost impossible if you're like not somewhere in a building where it's gonna be really weird if you're sitting there playing Super Mario World or something. That's where the BatleXP G350 comes in. Right out of the box, my first impression of this thing was that it had a really nice weight to it. Like, it didn't feel like a cheap piece of crap like a lot of electronics do nowadays. And on top of that, look at this thing. It looks amazing. The screen is incredible and bright, and the buttons just look phenomenal. Not only look phenomenal, they feel great too, and they make a great sound. So satisfying. And on top of that, the thing just feels good in my hands. I'm a big guy and I've dealt with carpal tunnel before, so handhelds typically cause issues for me, but this thing is pretty ergonomic, I would say. So digging in a little bit deeper to the G350, obviously this thing is completely portable. You could take it anywhere with you. It fits right in your pocket. For the ladies, it'll fit in your purse, even like the trendy modern tiny purses that people are liking. And it's like getting to take all of your favorite retro consoles wherever you go. On top of that, it's rechargeable through a USB-C port on top, so you don't have to pack around extra batteries like the Game Boy days. If you want to charge it when you're out and about, you can charge it with like a portable power bank instead of needing to find a wall outlet. It features expandable storage with 2 micro SD card slots, one on either side. It comes from the factory with a great user interface. I thought it looked nice. I found it easy to navigate, and it had several options for customization. And to top it all off, it's preloaded with over 4,000 games. Of course, nothing is perfect, and the G350 is not exempt from that. There were a few small complaints that I had. For example, of those 4,000 games, a lot of them were duplicates. So over the, several consoles available, there was at least 1 or 2 versions of Street Fighter 2 on almost every single one of them. A lot of the preloaded ROMs actually didn't work, so I would try to load them up and it would show me the BatleXP loading screen and then go black before returning just to the title screen. On every single game that I did try, the opening screen was littered up with a big, ugly copyright warning, basically saying that you're not allowed to redistribute these games, which it's like, no shit, Sherlock. But speaking of copyright, one of the first things that I noticed while going through the library of over 4,000 games, there's not a single piece of Nintendo IP anywhere on this thing. So if you want to play Nintendo games, you have to get them yourself and add them, which is pretty easy, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. Also, obviously, one of the issues that you run into with emulation is slowdowns. So it's not like it's the biggest processor in the world or anything. So you do get a little bit of slowdown, especially if you have a lot of entities on screen. It wasn't like beyond what you would experience on some of the older consoles anyway. And there are options to try and mitigate that, but I haven't tested them yet. As I was getting to know my G350, I wanted to check out, you know, the inner workings. So I tried plugging it into my laptop with a USB cable, and that didn't give me any access to the memory. So I ended up having to pull out the SD card and put it into one of these little converters here, and then plug it into my laptop that way. And once I did, everything was simple. There were two partitions on the SD card, one that has like all of the guts and the important stuff, and then one that just has files upon files of games. And that was the one that I wanted to get into, to see what emulators were preloaded and if I needed to try to add anything. Adding games to it was actually really easy, because all I needed to do was copy and paste them from my personal collection into the corresponding folders on the SD card. And then when I put it back in, the games would show up in the main menu. Like, I didn't have to go and like say display this emulator or whatever. It would just do it automatically. However, before I got too carried away with loading this thing up with my own preferred games, I decided I wanted to delete all of the original games minus like a handful, because I didn't want to have to test every single one of them to see which ones worked and which ones didn't. And I also hated that stupid copyright thing showing up every time that I would try to load a game. So it was just, they had to go. I did save a backup of the whole thing just in case, to be safe. And when I did that, I opted also to just copy everything over from the original no-name 64 gigabyte micro SD card onto a SanDisk 128 gigabyte card. And not only did that work just fine, it also seemed to improve performance a little bit. Like maybe the SD card being a higher quality made some difference. And I will make another video and share it here about how I did that, because there were several steps in the process. So check that out when you're done here if you're into that sort of thing. So I've had this thing now for over a month and a half, and since then I have definitely noticed that I'm playing my favorite retro video games more than I ever have. I'm actually getting to beat games that I never finished before. The thing still works super well. I've experienced no degradation. It's just as good as it was the day that I got it. I've discovered other options like overclocking, which I haven't tried yet because I'm a little bit nervous about it, but I probably will. And, hit the like button if you think I should do that. Even this far in and me using it a bunch, the battery life is still great. Like, I could play for hours on end and it doesn't die. I could put it in sleep mode for like days and it doesn't shed too much battery, which has been really nice because I forget all the time that I put it in sleep mode. I've replaced all the original games on it with over 6,000 other games, and it still works great. Like, it hasn't caused any slowdowns. It hasn't had any issues loading anything. I've encountered a few bad ROMs, and what's nice is I don't have to take the card out and put it in the computer to get rid of that. It's got a option to just delete a ROM straight off the memory from the interface, which has been great because sometimes I'll accidentally put a duplicate in, and I don't want to have to, sit back down at the computer to fix things like that. Of course, since I got it, I take it almost everywhere with me. It's really nice because, as a lot of you guys might know, I am a school bus mechanic and I drive school buses. I take a lot of trips. So there's days where I'll just be in a bus for 2, 3, 4 hours and have nothing to do other than like, oh, you could sweep your bus, and that takes a whopping 14 and a half minutes. So it's nice to be able to take something to do, and it has filled that downtime that I used to spend doom scrolling on my phone with actually getting to experience something that I want to experience. I have really high hopes for this thing moving forward. For example, I've seen a lot of people online tinkering with their G350 and like wiping off the old operating system and replacing it with one called like Arc, for example, which I've heard a lot of good things about. I actually would like to try to get this thing to run RetroPie, which is the system I use on my Raspberry Pi, and I think it's really intuitive. It looks good, and I'd like to be able to put it in my pocket and take it everywhere with me. Make sure that you subscribe if you'd like to see me do things like that, and let me know what you would like to see. Of course, I'm going to continue adding games to it from whatever consoles I can think of, whatever I can get my hands on. I'm just gonna get them copied onto here because I want to be able to try new games when I'm just sitting around with nothing else to do and I'm bored of the games that I've wanted to play or whatever, because I'm actually getting there where I'm getting to play these games long enough to be like, all right, I'm kind of bored of that, I want to go play something else, which I haven't got to experience in a long time. Going forward, the goal is to beat as many of the classics as I can that like I didn't have the skills to beat as a kid and I didn't have the time to beat as an adult. And naturally that's going to lead to me also getting to play those legendary games that I just missed out on as a kid. And that experience has been really cool already, and I look forward to sharing like my experiences with those games with you guys in the future. So overall, my opinion on this thing is it's just an incredible value at under $60. The thing still goes strong. I've had no issues with it. I'm not the most tech savvy guy in the world, and I've been able to figure a lot out with it. So it's been really good. My complaints that I had about it were all like really easy to fix. Duplicate games, just erase the ones you don't want. The ones that are broken, don't work, just get rid of them. Don't like the games that are on it, erase them. You want something, add it. You don't have to like be stuck. It's not what it is right out of the box. It's what it can be if you just want it to be that. The only thing that I haven't really fixed yet is like the slowdown issue, and that's just because I'm nervous to overclock it. I don't want to damage it. And it tells you when you go into that menu that if you explore these settings, you're risking destroying it. And I'm sure that it's not like I'm going to overclock it and then it's going to explode in my hands or something, but like I want to keep using it. I don't want to reduce the lifespan of this thing. I want it to last as long as possible. But also, it is just an awesome conversation piece. Like all my other retro game friends who like stuff like this, they love seeing it. Like I show it to them, let them play on it a little, and they're just blown away with how good it is. And so, of course, that is up to my street cred as the ultimate sweat lord, basically, because all I do is fucking get all sweaty and nerdy about my retro video games. And I'm not even ashamed. I fucking love it. It's cool as hell. I don't care. Having the ability to play my favorite retro games at my leisure, when I want and how I want, and not have to restart constantly, because it does give you options for like save states and stuff, which I know some people are like, oh, you're not really beating the game if you use a save state. Well, guess what? I don't have the fucking time, and I got 5 kids. I got a full-time job. I got stuff I gotta do. So if I'm in the middle of a game like Ghosts and Goblins, which is basically like saying, yes, tie me up and whip me because it's brutal, right? If I even get anywhere past the first level, like I am save stating that. I am not screwing around. So anyway, BDSM jokes aside, I would definitely recommend to any retro gamer on a budget or who has limited space or limited time, but still wants to get to enjoy your favorite games, try this thing out. Like, it's good and it's cheap enough that you're not going to lose out too much on it. If you want to experiment with it, it's not like it's a $400 piece of equipment that you're going to blow up. Yeah, $60 is nothing to shit at, but it's still not bad compared to a laptop or a retro console or even a Raspberry Pi. It's affordable. It's reasonable. You don't have to be afraid. And I'm not ashamed to admit, I dropped this thing one time. It still works perfectly. Took it like a champ. So anyway, guys, that's my thoughts on the BatleXP G350. So if you're into that kind of thing, you like retro video games, you like this sort of like checking out how you can play retro games or sharing memories and stories about the games you played growing up, then you should consider subscribing to my channel. And if you do that and you want some more retro content right now, then you should check out this video. And otherwise, I really hope to see you guys in the next one.